From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big morning of mornings, LA, with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check updated 2021. A recon that is going to get passed. They'll pay viewers on average about $25,000. But what is the fate of the $25,000 on top of that, the $250 billion on top of that, and the MSC on top of that? I have the latest details in this recording. The breaking news as we go into a Sunday is that there were massive negotiations that went on yesterday and are continuing today. What are they? I have the latest breaking details. As a deal will be done, we now have confirmation. Americans don't know that there's a recon and that the price tag will come in at 1.7 to 2 trillion. But get ready for your feet to be on the ground, because is seniors' money being removed? Is paid leave being removed? Breaking details right now on Sunday. Then we go to student loan debt forgiveness, and more debt could be forgiven. Programs in, programs out. Which ones are coming in? But COLA is coming, and you'll be seeing fifth stimulus right behind that. Then we go over the 1.5 year anniversary of this channel, what we have learned as a family and what we've learned as a community going into our big 1.5 anniversary today. I'm here, you're here, the leaf balloon is here. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing, and the bacon is still missing after a year and a half. Can anyone find the bacon in the next year? We got a lot going on, folks, because, boy, you have never seen a supersized recording, major negotiations, major shockers of items removed, not removed, reduced, not reduced, vouchers and auto-tune, well, maybe not auto-tune, but everything else in that, it's coming up right now. You are ready to rock and roll. It's a big broadcast, a big update about the recon, and it starts right now on Mornings at LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and I hope the weather is good where you are. We're looking at a recon that'll pay viewers on this channel about $15,000 across several programs with potential add-ons on top of that. But in this recording, we're going to go over what's going on as we go into a big morning. The details are that a deal is still happening. But what is in the deal? Well, the price tag will be coming in at about 1.7 to 2 trillion. Doesn't make much of a difference for us. What does make a difference for us is the programs. Are the senior programs being removed? Are the paid leave being removed? I have the latest breaking details. This is inside information you're not going to hear anywhere else. We'll be turning then over to student loan debt forgiveness. More debt could be forgiven next week, $10,000. Then we'll be turned to fifth stimulus. That has 2 more raises coming for you, and we have breaking news about that fifth stimulus. Then, as we look forward and look throughout the day, the channel and you, we all celebrate today as we turn 1.5 years old as a community. It's a big morning's broadcast. It's all live. It's all direct from Santa Monica. And boy, it's a shocker. If there was ever a reason not to have an anniversary special, it would be today. And that is why there is no anniversary special in this recording, because there is too much breaking news. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video. 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. This recon, which will be done, will pay viewers of this channel upwards of about $15,000. It's across programs that will be totally brand new, programs that have never been before in the U.S. landscape, never before in U.S. law, and you're going to get a lot of money from these programs. So what are the programs? 3 weeks ago, 3 clusters of checks were passed in a subcommittee. A big subcommittee that had a big lot of items in there. Some of the items being removed, some of the items being reduced. What is the rundown? We're going to go over the first, second, and third clusters of checks and the 3 add-ons starting right now. Get your pen and paper ready and get ready to be shocked. Paid family leave. Let's try it that way. There we go. Paid hazard pay and $4,000 of elder care staying in there so far, as we've heard. Hazard pay broadened the eligibility for that earned income tax credit, increasing the amount of money. No update about that. $4,000 of elder care per year and $4,000 for young children. No update about that. Then we have the grants to the university to the student and the Pell's grant made tax free. The money to weatherize your home expected to stay in there. Definitely need to have that to keep those moderate Democrats out of the House and wherever possible, keep them out of the Senate. But the child tax credit, the CTC, not going to be 18 years, not going to be 10 years, not going to be 5 years. Instead of $51,000, it's going to be $3,000 to $3,600 1 year. Then they got money in there for bikes, cars, and trucks, all electric, all U.S. auto manufactured. 50% for the purchase price of a new electric bike, $7,500 for a new electric vehicle, personal use, a little bit more for business use. The first add-on, we do have an update about this tangentially, and it's a $25,000 from Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters has added a lot of things to this recon, and while we don't have anything about this, we have something else about Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters has proposed $25,000 for first-time home buyers in this recon. Do I see it happening? Not at $25,000. Too expensive. Maybe something slightly different. But great news, and you're going to be excited about this one. Maxine Waters had gotten into the recon clusters $250 billion for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, which is a lot of money because third stimulus was $47 billion. She got $200+ billion in there. Well, at the end of last week, it was removed. It was gone. It was out. She pushed back. She fought back to get it back in there, and it went to $100 billion back in there. Now it's reportedly at about $150 billion, which is huge. That's 3 times the size of the rent now. So the viewers are getting $40,000 for rent in October of this year for third stimulus. You could be seeing those types of money into December 2022 because it's 3 times the amount, and it's the next round of recon. So this is a big win for my renters and my homeowners. Big monies for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance. Let's go into the second cluster of checks, and here we go. Home repairs and paid leave. Let's go over the status on this one, and here it becomes tenuous. Paid family medical leave passed in the subcommittee. House care, child care, household tax credits, money for pre-kindergarten, tuition-free community college, and money in there to weatherize your home. Well, they got money in there to weatherize your home, and they got money in there for low-income houses for free home repairs. Well, what is the status in the second cluster? You're going to see later in this video a big battleground. Paid family and medical leave. Rumor has it could be on the out. It could get removed. Where is it? Is it out? Is it in? Is it getting reduced? This is a big shocker, and it's coming up in just a second. Stay to the final 15 minutes of this video. Community college, definitely not going to be lifetime. It's either out or 2 years or less. So there you go. We go to the second add-on, which comes from Bob Casey. That is a $250 billion for home health care. Do we have that going on in at $250 billion? Not at that price tag. Too expensive. Maybe at another price tag. No update. But we're seeing a lot of programs that are running $300, $400, $500 billion not surviving and getting reduced down to about 100, 120, 130 billion. So could potentially stay in there, but not at that price tag. Let's turn to the third cluster. And this is where it is a bloodbath. The third cluster is where things are really getting hacked. We have school meals for all checks, cheaper prescription medication, checks for farmers, checks for free internet, checks for clean energy, checks for workers, checks for seniors like dental, vision, hearing, and lowering the eligibility age for Medicare. Several of these items in here are going to be the scope of the rest of this recording. So I have a lot to say about this third cluster, but clean energy out as of last week. You heard it on the first on the channel. It was the non-starter for Joe Manchin. It's out. It's staying out. Good news for you because it gives us a recon we can do. The prescription medication language still in there reportedly, but modified for Kristen Sinema. The money in there for the seniors, dental, vision, and hearing, potentially out, potentially a voucher, potentially reduced. Yeah, It's a big shocker, and it's a very fluid situation. The answer is we don't know. It's coming up in a second. I have really intense, detailed information about what's going on for this money for the seniors. Bob Casey wants the Medicare benefits to be reduced from age 65 to 60. No update about that as well. But this cluster is a big battleground, and it's also a big blame game. I have a lot of breaking details coming up in just a second. Stay with me on this one. All right, which brings us to the third cluster. The third add-on, which is the MSC, IRS Monthly Stimulus Check. What you need to understand is that as we look at a recon that has its meat and potato at dental, vision, and hearing and Medicare benefits, and they are now in jeopardy, everything is ripe for battle. And you cannot sit back and be in a comfort zone. The Democrats have also given us new indication this weekend about really what's going on. What's going on is that the negotiations are with really about 5 people. The president, Nancy, Chuck Schumer, and Joe Manchin, Chris and Sinema, and that is about it. Tangentially, sometimes it's Bernie Sanders and maybe a Jalopal, and that is about it. AOC Omar, Liz Warren, not part of the negotiations. So in a second, you're going to see a comment from AOC, from Omar, that says, you start going after my dental vision, I'm adding it in on the House side. You're going to see a comment from another House member says, no one's asked me what I want to put in there. I want to put in there. So it's important to understand that the MSC is an add-on because these other people have not been part of the negotiations. Several places they can add it on. Before a House bill, after a House bill, but before a House vote. During the 2-day vote-a-rama on the Senate side, the senators walk to their own beat, and the senators do things that are totally different than anything ever discussed during the negotiations. Here's an example. Under third stimulus, student loan debt was proposed, but not yet law. But student loan debt forgiveness was a taxable event until third stimulus, meaning that the federal government forgave $40,000 student loan debt today, you'd have to pay $20,000 taxes out of your own pocket to IRS. Well, Liz Warren and Chuck Schumer saw this a big issue, and during the vote-a-rama of third stimulus, they introduced legislation nowhere talked about by any House member, nowhere talked about during negotiations, to get that student loan debt forgiveness tax-free and modifying the tax code. They passed it. So that is why it's big. It's also big to understand that we have Chuck Schumer's office telling Debbie Applegate, telling Donnie's wife, and telling another viewer over the last 3 weeks, he's adding it in as a monthly stimulus check. But you need to understand, this is Sunday. The situation on paid leave seniors money has changed in 24 hours. The situation on rental assistance has changed in 48 hours. Situations are changing by the minute, so no time to sit back and say, I was promised, or I was guaranteed you need to push. And that is what one chief of staff said going into the weekend. Need to push because everyone is going for different pots of money. We now have in total between congressional and senatorial offices more contacts of advocacy in the LA Purple Power than ever before. It's amazed by the outpouring of touching stories. They now have more of a better understanding of what the average American is looking for throughout this pandemic. They have heartbreaking stories, and you, LA, have become the voice of the people. Across the nation, you, LA, have become too loud to be ignored. Very, very kind words. Let's read the last sentence on air because it is so important for us, the advocacy. Please continue your encouragement, the chief of staff to the senator's office says to me. Please continue your encouragement for the continued advocacy as the professional voice of the people you have become, LA, and continue until this becomes law. This is why it's so important. You're going to see in the second half of this video why advocacy for any provision in this recon is important, because everything is a battleground as of today, as of this morning. In the second half of this video, we'll be going over a potential deal will be hatched in that recon, but Americans don't know a recon exists. The price tag will be 1.7 to 2 trillion. Fine for us, doesn't impact us, but the question is what programs are in and what programs are out. And can you imagine that dental and vision are on the potential chopping block? Are they or aren't they? I have the details in the second half of this video. Paid leave, potentially on the chopping block. What happened in less than 24 hours? Yeah, It's a Saturday going into Sunday, but get ready for this. Shocking details are coming up in the second half of this video. Then student loan debt forgiveness, more debt could be forgiven, and it's $10,000. Why the Democrats should take that deal. And then COLA, your benefits are going up, but guess what? You're going to get 2 other raises right behind that. It's fifth stimulus, and we have great news about that. And finally, today's our 1.5 year anniversary, yours and mine. This channel turns 1.5 years old, and we're going to look back and look forward as to what we've learned over the last year and a half, so much about ourselves and so much in view of even what's going on today. We have all those incredible details, but I told you this was going to be a massive day of recordings. It's just getting started. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as we learn which program's out, which program's in, and which program's on the battleground. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, did I hit a button? I did hit a button. As we continue in the second half of this video, the excitement heats up as LALATE hits a button. And, you know, it's days like that where you hit a button, you wonder, what the world went on? In the second half of this video, we go over the incredible details that's unfolding. And boy, what a day it is. As the recon, Americans don't know what's in it. And we will learn in the second half of this video what is in it. Our program's out, our program's in. We'll go over the shocking details as they finalize the recon. The president's going to Delaware, and guess who among the caucus is meeting him? Joe Manchin. All the latest details about those negotiations today. More student loan debt could be forgiven. Whose debts and where? COLA is getting raised. What does this mean for COLA, and what does it mean for you with this stimulus right behind it? And then we look back at the 1.5 year anniversary. And every time I hit a graphic the wrong way, there's always a chance for error, and that is the beautifulness of this recording. So with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Big shows today on Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock, a totally new show. Then Evenings LA, brand new. It's a very fluid situation. Programs are getting hacked upon. And I have the latest details. Me and the leaf balloon will be with you. But let's now turn to the details starting right now. The president is in Delaware, and guess who is joining with him? Joe Manchin. The president has brought Joe Manchin to Delaware with him, and what does this mean across the board? It means that the president is trying to negotiate some of the provisions. What is at issue? I have a lot I'm going to go right into. I'm not going to wait a second. A deal is happening, but what is in the deal? All right, put your feet down, step away from the china, and move away from the cutlery, because here come the shocking details right now on Mornings. Provisions out, provisions in. I'm going to give you a series of updates, and remember, nothing is finalized, nothing is situational, everything is fluid. First, there are new concerns that Medicare dental, vision, hearing benefits for tens of millions of seniors could be out. Paid family leave and medical assistance could be out. What is the situation? The official statement from the White House, when asked whether Medicare for seniors and dental and vision and family leave are out, the White House said no. Minutes ago, Andrew Bates, White House spokesperson, said this is untrue on both counts. The price tag, $350 billion for Medicare. But there are reports that the president is considering taking the dental, there are reports that the president's considering multiple options for the seniors' Medicare. First, the president is reportedly considering taking out the dental, but leaving in the vision and hearing. Second, there's reports that the president is considering leaving the dental in with the vision and hearing, but turning it into an only $800 annual voucher, which is junk, because what the world is $800 for dental? I mean, that's like 3 cleanings. I mean, it doesn't even do anything. And then there's talks that the president is trying to reduce the dental, vision, hearing to just 3 years. Reaction, here you go. Brand new on Mornings. Bernie Sanders, not coming out, he says. The expansion of Medicare to cover dental, vision, and hearing is one of the most popular and most important provisions of the entire bill. This is what the Americans want. Omar, who's not part of the negotiations, Democrat, House member, Minnesota, says we obviously want dental, vision, and hearing to be covered. My biggest worry is that this is our set of 5 priorities. And we've always said we'll support this program if it has these 5 priorities. Once you start taking away our priorities, the things get a little dicey, meaning that the progressives ran on this as being the meat and potato of the meat and potatoes. Dental, vision, hearing, money for seniors, lifetime benefits. Then you heard me tell you on Thursday and Friday that the president was trying to reduce them to about 3 years. Not so bad, 3 years. Now, word that the president's trying to remove the provisions. Here's where it gets even stranger. And you're going to hear it only from me and one other print media. Again, this is all inside information with the exception of the comment that there are public statements like Bernie, Omar, or the White House. The president appeared on a CNN town hall meeting on broadcast media on Thursday. I mean, it was CNN. No one really watched it. But during the CNN town hall, the president told the American people that the dental, vision, and hearing opponent is Joe Manchin. Scapegoat, blame game, not particularly accurate by the president. Joe Manchin is opposed to dental vision to some extent, not entirely, but it's the president who has specifically told the Democrat caucus he's not doing it lifetime. And the president during his negotiations with Joe Manchin has not told the Democrat caucus what he wants to do with dental, vision, hearing. Today, the president will invite and has invited Joe Manchin to the state of Delaware for a private lunch and breakfast. Insiders are already worried that the president's not telling everyone else what is he offering to Joe Manchin as to dental, vision, and hearing, and that the president will turn around and blame Joe Manchin for whatever happens from those negotiations, when the president himself has not come on board really about dental and vision and ran on this for part of his presidential campaign. Paid leave. Guess who's the big proponent for paid leave? Nancy Pelosi. Imagine coming after Nancy Pelosi's provision. That is even more serious. So here are big numbers, big details you're hearing for the very first time on Mornings LALATE about paid leave. Another battleground across the board. You've seen 2 big battlegrounds as we go into this morning's broadcast. The battlegrounds, as you're seeing, are the paid leave and the items for seniors. What's the paid leave situation? Paid leave, as Nancy Pelosi proposed it, and as the House subcommittee approved it 3 weeks ago, was the following. 12 weeks, paid family and medical leave, all U.S. workers across the board. Meaning you have to stay home because your wife is pregnant. Fine, covered. You have to stay home because your son broke his leg. Fine, covered. The House approved it at $494 billion price tag. The Senate approved at $300 billion. Both very high. That's almost 1/4 of the recon. What has the president said behind closed doors? He'll do it for the first series of reports say the president said, I'll do it for 4 weeks instead of 12 weeks. And that I'll only do it for low-income workers. That comes in a price tag of $100 billion. Then, reports today say the president has told Nancy Pelosi he's taking it out. Imagine telling Nancy Pelosi that her provision is completely going out. This is the provision where she said 2 days ago, I've changed more diapers than anyone else in this room. The reaction is deafening. Here comes the comment from Dawn Hucklebridge, Director of Paid Leave for All, today. It's inconceivable, she says, and unconscionable to me that there's an actual risk that paid family leave is on the chopping block. The fact that something that the White House administration, the Biden administration ran on for the presidency and that Congress has championed would not be a priority to me is unbelievable. Here's what's going on, and let me give you the insight. What's going on is the president's having that meeting with Joe Manchin today in Delaware. No one's a part of that meeting. The meeting is not being transcribed. No one is inside the negotiations of the meeting. If the president emerges from the meeting and wants to take out paid family leave, guess who the president's going to say took out paid family leave? Joe Manchin. The president's playing a blame game at the moment on Joe Manchin, and reports are now covering that fake narrative, saying it's a fake narrative. Joe Manchin has never said anything about paid family leave. He's never said he's against it. Never said he's against it. And the reports are now saying the president is setting it up to say, I'm going to blame Joe Manchin that you don't have paid family leave. Yeah. Okay. So what are the situation on this paid family leave? The president is looking at 4 weeks for low income only or removing it. Both of them are very extenuating because let's look at the situation. You're a supervisor at Chipotle and you don't qualify because you're not low income potentially. And your wife's pregnant. You have to stay home. You're not getting paid family leave. Your assistant manager might be potentially low income. Can stay home, can get paid family leave. Does it look good in a workplace where one person gets paid family leave and another one doesn't? And they're so similarly situated in the same workplace? I don't think so. Very, very fascinating. So that is where we're starting today. Now, let's go into what's important to understand is that Americans don't know that this recon exists. And a new poll reveals that 90% of Americans don't even know the recon exists, and 10% cannot tell you what's in the recon. What's important for you to understand, and this is very important for you and I, is that the recon is going to pay you upwards of $15,000 across these programs. These are programs that the press secretary said in the last 24 hours are brand new programs. Progress here is on a historic package that will put in place brand new programs that have never existed in our society before, she said. This is big. What does this mean? It means that you have existed your entire life on this planet, never seen these programs. And when the programs go live, they're going to be brand new programs with brand new names, with brand new payouts, with brand new agencies you never heard of before. And it's going to pay you a lot of money, $15,000 on average of the viewers channel. As soon as it becomes law, I'm going to show you video after video, application by application, viewer after viewer, how to get this sum of money. Rest of Americans are not going to know the money exists. They're not even going to know it is there. And what's important to understand is that these are new programs. This is much like PUA or EIDL. Brand new when this channel launched on April 25th, no longer a part of our landscape. Gone. These are going to be brand new programs with brand new names, with big money across the board. The price is right. Where is that price tag of that recon? Well, here you go, 1.7 to 2 trillion. What we're seeing right now is that when we saw this 1.7 to $2 trillion dance, we thought maybe the program's are 3 to 5 years. There's a big issue now as to price tag. Price tag, how expensive is a particular program? Consistent theme we're seeing, programs 350 billion or more definitely getting reduced. Not necessarily hacked, but reduced. Maxine Waters, her rent was at 350, getting down to 150. The child care was going to go to 500, getting reduced down to 100. So they're trying to get this sort of comfort zone of 100, 150, 175, 200. They feel very uneasy in anything that's 250, 300 across the board. Here come the comments. And this is why you have to take everything by perspective. On Friday, I told you, or on Saturday, I told you, that Richard Neal, House of the House Ways and Means Committee, said that the policy was done. Policy meaning the programs. He said, we've already agreed upon all the policy. You heard me what I said yesterday. I said, I don't believe it. I think he's inaccurate in his statement. We now know that's confirmation. It is inaccurate. We can't even agree upon the dental vision hearing. The policy outcome is not agreed upon. So his comment was inaccurate. He also said that the revenue backside is being done. Absolutely true. The revenue side, if you missed yesterday's recording, this is the update on the revenue side. Corporate tax is not going up. Rich billionaires' tax is not going up. So what are they going to do to pay for it? Closing corporate tax loopholes. That's what they're doing. Meantime, vote. Yeah, they're still looking to get this vote by the end of next week. But the comment is if they're ready. Steny Hoyer, the number one guy for calling things for scheduling on the House side, a majority leader, says if they're ready, quote, if they're ready, both of them for a vote this next week. What's important to remember is that the recon is written. It was written in that subcommittee with Sheila Jackson, covered over the last month of this channel. It's written. So what are they doing? They're just modifying words. Instead of 350 and 350 billion, it says 110 billion. Instead of corporate taxes, this is corporate loopholes. Slight modifications. The next quote is really big for us and that MSC IRS stimulus check. Representative Stephanie Murray, Democrat, Florida, said basically, I got it. You're negotiating, but no one's asked me what I want. And if you don't ask me, well, I'm going to introduce changes. And this is what we have seen over the last year of this channel. The negotiations going on underway today, yesterday, and tomorrow will be with the top 4 people in the Democratic Party: Pelosi, Schumer, the president, and then the Joe Manchin-Sinema equation. Sporadically, Bernie, very sporadically, Jalopal. And that is it. So is Omar part of the negotiations? No. Does Omar want to start a monthly IRS stimulus check? Absolutely. Her office said she was going to introduce it if it's not in there. Does Liz Warren want to do stuff? You know Liz Warren wants to do stuff. Is she part of the negotiations? She is not. And as this person said very clearly, this is not a top-tier Democrat. It's Stephanie Murray. She says, there's been a lot of focus on Senate members, but it would be really wise to engage with me and see what I have to say as well. And we need to make sure that everybody's concerns are heard and addressed. So this is very important, because when you get this to an actual vote, that's where things come across the board. On Thursday, the president appeared on CNN Town Hall. And yeah, it was CNN, so no one was really watching it. But during that CNN Town Hall, the president said that Joe Manchin's a nice guy, but he doesn't support dental, vision, and hearing benefits. At the time, I told you on Friday, the president was really trying to set up Joe Manchin as his excuse or blame game if anything doesn't get in the recon. Well, the reports now are picking up what I've said as well. When we turn to family leave, Joe Manchin's never even talked about family leave. And they now believe the president's going to blame anything on Joe Manchin if it doesn't get into the recon, whether Joe Manchin supported it or didn't support it. Yeah. So now let's turn to recon. We will have a recon. The recon will be done. And the recon agreement is happening. As Jalopal says, there are differences. Everyone knows there are differences, and the differences are part of the negotiations. And both of them will be delivered to the president's table. Chris Coons, who's a Democrat out of Delaware, said the gaps are closing, and the vibe of our caucus is very different. And John Tester says we're moving along pretty well. 1.7, 1.9, $1.2 trillion doesn't really make a difference to us. Why? Because as you saw just a second ago, I said it's really the price tag of the item. You heard me say yesterday, paid leave, very expensive program. It's just an expensive program. So if a program's pushing $300, $400, $500 billion, gotta reduce it, because that's sort of the universe of what's going on, more so than the price tag. The president's being decisive. He's showing leadership. I think it's going to get done, says Debbie Dingell. And Patty Murphy, Democrat Washington, says there's real consensus. I think it's getting done. Here is where my opinion of the situation is. If there was one thing that I'm a little bit not so comfortable with, it's the following: someone's schedule. The president is reportedly going overseas next week. What? This is the time in which the president needs to stay in town for this. Why? Because why we had such incredible progress the last 4 days was that someone in the administration, not the president, someone in the administration was being stubborn over the last few months about certain provisions that need to get taken out for us to move forward. Clean energy for Joe Manchin need to be taken out 4 months ago. That stubborn person was blocking it. The president said, take it out. It was out. We move forward. Chris and Sinema, the corporate taxes, the billionaires' taxes had to get taken out months ago. That stubborn person was pushed back by the president, taken out. The president has had the decisive voice where he says, take a provision out, reduce a program. And that decisive voice needs to be here. I understand he can do things remotely. We're all digital. He can do it on Air Force One or Air Force 22 or wherever he is. But I would like the president to be in town, because these decisive big decisions, whether we're going to vouchers, $800 for your teeth, or whether we're removing the teeth, I want the president in town to say, yeah, I'm making the decision. This is what we're doing. And I want him to own it. I don't want him to have this floated through an administration official and then blame it on Joe Manchin. I want the president in town. And I hope that he is really staying zoomed into the situation. Chuck Schumer says we're looking to finalize the deal by the end of this week. They are negotiating today, so they are working on the weekend. You see why this recording is so different than yesterday. I told you that this is all inside information. Most of this is not a direct quote. This is all insiders close to the negotiations, and that these negotiations are really heating up. So get that pen and paper ready. I got some more updates about what's in and what's out. Community college, paid leave. Pelosi says paid leave is not out. Pelosi says community college is not out. So where are we? Child care tax credit, definitely going to be 1 year, not going to be 5 years or 18 years. So that'll be $3,600 or $3,000 a child, price tag about $109 billion. It works, unlike what one legislator wanted to do. 5 years, $500 billion, not happening. Obamacare subsidy staying in there. The vision, dental, and hearing, you heard it all throughout this broadcast. It's going to be front page news because everyone understands this one. This one is the battleground right now. Out in 3 years, dental without vision, vision without dental, vouchers, $800, no vouchers, all across the board. SALT coming out. That's confirmed. SALT is the cap on state and local deductions being removed. That SALT cap is not getting removed, so that provision is not working. Community college, going to be 0 to 2 years, not going to be more than 2 years because it costs too much money at the moment. And then that clean energy provision, which is the clean electricity performance program, it is definitely out. That was taken out over a week ago. I told you first on this channel, and that's why we have a recon deal. What else? Going into the weekend, we knew that Medicare and climate was a battleground. But I do believe that the president will be negotiating climate with Joe Manchin in Delaware today. Representative Amy Barra from California has her best perspective on the situation. She says, I would like a little more climate, but if you can't, just move on. And if Joe Manchin can't do it, let's just move on. Stop holding it up for that. Then, will we get this to a framework by the end of today? Steny Hoyer believed that they could and that they would. There you go. So what's important to understand is that the situation is very fluid. Let's recap generally where we are. You saw major changes right there. Major changes from 48 hours ago. That is why it's important to understand that you need to advocate. Things are very fluid. People are coming for programs, coming after money, trying to reallocate money from one thing to another thing. Very, very fluid situation across the board. Student loan debt. More student loan debt could be forgiven this week, and it should be forgiven. The president's floated $10,000 as an offer, and the Democrats should take it. And they shouldn't close the door and say they don't take more at a later date, but they should certainly take that for now. President's proposed $10,000 of student loan debt forgiven for everyone. This is shoots. The president forgave 3 rounds of student loan debt right before that. It was for people who became disabled after graduation. Your debts have now been forgiven. Then the president just days ago forgave student loan debt for people who went into the nonprofit sector 10 years after graduation. Your debts have now been forgiven. And finally, the president has forgiven student loan debts for people who've gone into the public sector 10 years after graduation. Huge. City, county, state, federal workers. You don't make enough money to pay off the student loan debt. Public school teacher, sanitation driver, this is big. Your debts are now forgiven. The Democrats should take the remaining $10,000 and run with it. COLA raises. Your benefits are going up next year, 5 to 6%, but get ready because another recon is right behind it. That recon right behind it is fifth stimulus, and that fifth stimulus would raise your benefits up 1-2 more times. One thing I'm making very sort of clear today, which I want you to understand, is the quote I'm about to read to you about fifth stimulus was not a mainstream quote. It was not everywhere. So I don't want you to think that anything under fourth stimulus in trouble is kicked into fifth stimulus. I don't want you to think that because that's not what the quote says. So what are they looking to do? They're looking to do fifth stimulus right behind fourth stimulus, which is big. That is that SSI and SSDI reform. First, they're going to raise your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Veterans benefits. Then they're going to apply a new benchmark. The new benchmark is inflation. We now know that inflation will be somewhere between 0 to 3% next December. Jan Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, telling Jake Tapper this morning that's where it's going to go. That's what I've been saying all along. That's big because in COLA may be 0% next year. So let's do the analysis. First, your benefits are going to go up next year, one time. That's your new number. You're never going to see this year's number, the lower number, ever again. Then the fifth stimulus becomes law. Then you go up another time. And then in December next year, they apply the new benchmark. They're going to remove the asset cap, remove the income cap, and remove the marriage penalty. The great news comes in from that wonderful proposal by House Budget Chair John Yarmouth. He's a Democrat from Kentucky. He met with Nancy Pelosi this week and said, let's do fifth stimulus right away, and let's put in there what we need to put in there, like senior care and Medicare and anything else. Do it by recon. Force the Republicans to vote against it. I don't see what the downside is in an election year because we're trying to do things that are really popular. I think it's brilliant. I think it's going to happen, and I think it's great. Meantime, let's look back and look forward over the last year and a half of this channel. Wow, what a run it is. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to this channel. We've seen a lot over the last year and a half, and today is sort of much like day one. Why is today like day one? On day one, on April 25th, 2020, I pressed record on a vacant beach in Southern California. And the reason why I pressed record was to tell Americans on April 25th that a new program, brand new, called PUA that I couldn't even get the name right on. I called it FPUA, was going live on April 28th. Brand new program. Millions of Americans never heard of it. It never existed. It was pandemic unemployment assistance that existed for a short duration of time. And it paid people a lot of money. It was just like the EIDL grant and loan. Went live for a couple months, paid people a lot of money. No longer offered. It's much like what we're looking at today. When we look at this recon, it'll pay you about $15,000 across the board. This recon will be composed of programs that are programs we've never seen before, that are programs that have brand new names that we have never seen across the board before. And that is how we've always done it on this channel. We've seen over last year a series of programs that came and went. PUA came and went. FPUC came and went. LWA came and went. And what we did? Pounced and got the money. Whether it was rent that paid viewers $40,000 or utilities that paid money. You pounced and got the money. And that's what we've always been about. Learning, moving, and getting. It's important to understand is that we've been on this planet for many years. And as things come new, the federal government does something different. We've learned that first stimulus was not the same as second stimulus, and second stimulus was not the same as third. And we're certainly looking at fourth stimulus and realizing fourth stimulus is not the same as third. Doesn't mean there's no money in there. It means there's a lot of money in there. We look at the total price tag and we look at the benefits, and yes, it's a lot of money, but it's going to be in totally different programs where you get that money. What does it mean? It means that 90% of Americans don't even know the recon exists. So if you're going to have a conversation with your neighbor about getting this money for the new program called XYZ, neighbors not even know about the program, not even going to know the recon exists. The remaining 10% of Americans don't even know the programs are in there. And you and I don't even know what the name of the programs are, where the money is. But as soon as it becomes law, I'm going to show you how to get the money, how to apply to get the money, where to get the money. What's what I've been doing since day one. On day one, I show people how to get the money for the PUA, how to get the money for the EIDL, how to get the money for the LWA, where this money is. And when it's gone, it was gone. I said, move quickly, get it. This is why information has always put you ahead of the game. This is not different. This is how the government has always worked. They always launch these programs that are 1, 2, 3 years. And boy, do they pay a lot of money. 1, 2, 3 years, and then the program's gone. When you find out about it 5 years later, what about that program? No longer available. I certainly had people ask me about EIDL in 2021 saying, how about that EIDL from 2020? No longer around. Not the way it was before. And that is why you're laser focused in there here. Information is what sets people apart, and you should never feel anything but proud that you've learned the information. Because with information comes money. With money comes knowledge. And it repeats the process. When you learn where something is, you get it. And then you continue to get more of it. And with a big week ahead of us, it's important to remember that nothing is ever guaranteed. Everything is always fluid. And the situation is ever always changing. We pivot. In 2020, when we looked at those winter months of September and October, second stimulus wasn't happening. The HEROES Act that was going to pay $10,000 of hazard pay didn't happen. To this day, I still receive private messages to people say to me, said, whatever happened to that $10,000 of hazard pay that I was promised? You weren't promised it. It was a proposal. And they didn't get it done at $10,000. But there was other money that would pay you an equal amount of money or more than $10,000. Did you get that? No, I was just waiting for that hazard pay. We always pivot. We grab the information. We learn it. If we don't understand it, you ask me and I explain it further on camera. And that is how we've always grown as a community. Because there's a lot of programs with a lot of money across the board. And all that money is there. And I make sure you get every penny of it first on this channel. As soon as fourth stimulus becomes alive and becomes law, you're going to learn about every program, every penny that's available for you. And people are going to wonder, where did you learn that? Your answer? I've been doing this for 1.5 years and more. And with that, join me next on Afternoons LALATE and Noontime as well. Noontime coming up at 11 a.m. Then we got a big Afternoons LALATE show at 1 and 3. Brand new Afternoons LALATE show at 3. Then an Evenings LALATE show at 5. Situation is very fluid. So remember, if a Richard Neal tells you all the deals are done, if a Bernie tells you everything's in there, well, listen to the other comment where someone says maybe it's out. Situation's very fluid, and advocate because we're still not to that finish line. We gotta have a big weekend still upon us and a big week as well. Everything is a battleground and everything is being pushed upon. So continue to push. Thank you, and thank you for the first 1.5 years. Let's have the next 1.5 years equally as wonderful. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful morning. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, and stay with LA for more.